Mashima's at it again with his bullshit. Eden Zero takes place in a futuristic setting that has a very Star Trek, Star Wars, Futurama motif. It centers around Shiki, a human raised by robots on a deserted theme park planet. Shiki eventually meets Rebecca, an unsuccessful VTuber who visits the planet to make a video for her channel. But due to some heartbreaking set of events, Shiki is forced to leave the planet with Rebecca and set off on a new journey across space and time and other dimensions to find what is essentially God. I am certain that this would be one of my favorite mangas of all time if it was written by any other mangaka. It brings up so many ideas that I find interesting. The thesis statement of this story is man and machine can and should be friends. But in the first place, is it right to give a machine sentience in a world where it will be dominated by flawed humans? Is robot love even real? If you program a robot to love you, would that be considered morally wrong? I was always attracted to stories that dealt with these kinds of ideas, because we might have to deal with similar ideas in the not so distant future. But it's a very surface level portrayal of these ideas. When you do a deep dive into Mashima's ideas about sentient machines and automation, all you find is fan service. Tons and tons of it. I know it's hard to imagine, but it has more fan service than Fairy Tail did. Eden Zero has pretty much the same pros and cons that Fairy Tail did. Even Ether Gear, which is how characters use abilities in this story, is pretty much magic by another name. In fact, the only significant difference from Fairy Tail is that Eden Zero depends a lot more on tragedy porn. For example, the very first chapter of Eden Zero was pretty great. It was really sad and tragic, but it made sense. As the story goes on, however, things start to get more and more tragic and make less and less sense. Mishima really tries to make you feel bad for certain characters, to the extent that he sacrifices the story itself. But other than that, it's the same old Fairy Tail that you love. If you loved Fairy Tail, that is. You might even recognize some character designs. Some are similar, some are straight up copy-paste. Hell, that's just Happy again. But I don't think it's a lack of creativity, it's just his way of doing things. He also always brings over the previous cute companion character from his previous work into his next one. I personally think it's all just one big multiverse. Eden Zero might even be the distant future of Fairy Tail. The three most interesting characters are Rebecca, Elsie Crimson, and the Demon King Ziggy. Rebecca is mostly interesting due to her ether gear, which has the potential to make the rest of the story much more interesting. Elsie, like her Fairy Tail counterpart, is just a straight up badass that became a pirate because she just felt like it. Ziggy was one of the robots that raised Shiki. He looms over the whole story, serving as a Gold Roger figure, someone who has already had his adventure and found something important at the end. And in the end, Eden Zero is fan service wrapped in a story.